1941, there was a speech that changed the world that Hitler gave. It was called Germany's Declaration of War on the U.S. From the website the Institute of Historical Review, Mark Reber translated, "When Mr. Churchill's countries should have concerned themselves with their own unemployed people. They have enough misery and poverty in their own country to keep themselves busy, ensuring a just distribution of food there. As far as German's nation is concerned, it doesn't need charity, either from Mr. Churchill or Mr. Roosevelt, or the British Foreign Secretary, Mr. Eden. But it does, and Mr. Roosevelt declared that they want to one day build a new social order. That's about the same as a bald-haired barber recommending a tonic guaranteed to make hair grow. Rather than incite war, these gentlemen, who live in social backward, demand its rights, and it will do it. It must ensure its right to life, even if 1,000 Churchills and Roosevelts conspire together to prevent it." Those are just a few things tactics that he used in his speeches.
Okay, now why did Hitler inspire us? First of all, nothing that he did, most of us could consider inspirational. How many of us are going to be inspired to go out and cause a Holocaust? That's not why he inspired us. As a persuasive speaker, Adolf Hitler was one of the best. Like she said, he knew full well the power of different fallacies and hand gestures, and he used that. His appeal to emotion was so strong that people couldn't argue with him. He was very good at taking the attention off of the bad stuff and bringing it to the good stuff. Like in his speech, he brought the attention to what people were doing in other nations, leaders were doing in other nations. On a book titled Hitler Youth Growing Up, he said, "I begin with the young. We older ones are used up. But magnificent youngsters, there are finer ones anywhere in the world." So what that means is he would target younger people, like young men and children, because he knew that older people tend to be set in their ways. And he knew that if he captured the minds and hearts of younger people, that was going to stick with them for the rest of their lives. And they were going to hang on what he said. Instead of turning our heads to what he did, we can learn from him as a speaker. He was very, very persuasive. Hitler was the cause of a world war just because of the way that he spoke, the way that he captured people's attention. He really did make it seem like he cared about the people of Germany. He captured their minds and their hearts, and he made them believe that he was very, very adamant about the country of Germany. And the World War II revolved around the Holocaust, and the entire Holocaust was caused by this one man. In an article that was updated in 2003 by Christian Mark Fisher, it said, "Adolf Hitler conquered the largest portions of Europe, Asia, and Africa ever subdued by a single armed force." Also, just the power of leadership and the power of his speaking skills. So, that's what he inspired.
Adolf Hitler has changed the world, not necessarily for the better, but he has given the world a sense of what proper speaking skills could do. Yes, he used his talent in a negative way, but we can learn from how he used his speaking skills to gain the trust, loyalty, and admiration from his fellow citizens. If there's one thing to learn from Hitler, it is that communication is everything. How you speak, making sure your voice is clear and projected, your conversation like gestures, and keeping your audience in mind, whether it's their age, their race, their religion, or even their fears. Now that we have given you now that we've explained to you why we chose Adolf Hitler as our speaker, discussed some of his speaking delivery tactics, and explained how he has inspired us, hopefully you have all learned something and you can change the world someday in a better way, not like Hitler.